Let's do it. All right. Hi, best friends. I'm Tabby.
And I'm Caitlin.
Hold on. I
What
sounded
happened?
really drunk.
Wait, I'm leaving this in because you said that. You said that, and then you took a massive drink. Hi, best friends.
Anyway,
I'm Caitlin, and today we're going right into it. We're we're doing another installment of Best Friends Book Club Explains. If you listened to our last one, then you'll know why we are the way that we are right now. Also, you know what we forgot to say last time? If you can, you should watch this on our YouTube channel because
oh yeah.
we're showing you our slides. Yeah, so we have a YouTube channel, Best Friends Book Club, and you should watch the video there.
And you should look at it.
You should look at it. And also, I have one more thing to say before we get started is that I feel like the intro has already kind of like given this away. We've had a couple drinkies, but I want to defend myself. So, like, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see oh, okay, just kidding. I've got a Yeti tumbler.
Yeti said, sorry, no free ads.
No free ads, not a sponsor. But I've got this Yeti tumbler. What is like 32 ounces, probably? I don't know the sizes. And so I was like, well, that's a pretty big cup, so I'll make it a double mixed drink. And
And
the
she measured with the
problem,
heart.
no, I measured it. I used a shot glass, but the problem is actually that I've got quite a bit of ice in there.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't thinking that through. And so the ratio, it's actually quite potent, I guess. Long story short.
She's feeling pretty good.
I'm feeling a little glonky. Um, yeah, that's all I had to say. I feel like that's a rough segue into what we're about to talk about, but that's all right.
That's okay, because today we're going to talk about the history of vampires, so nothing matters.
I'm so excited.
Okay, let's dive into it.
Also, I
Ta
love what it looks like, by
Thank
the
you. I
way.
thought it was very like spooky and fun.
Yes, it's giving vampire.
I thought it
Okay,
was I thought it was good.
love it.
Okay. Okay. So, what is a vampire?
Ah, I don't know.
I'm so glad you asked. So, a vampire is a supposedly mythical creature that survives by feeding on the vital essence, typically blood, of living creatures. And I say typically blood because some of them do eat internal organs.
Ooh,
Yeah, and like flesh. So, it depends on where you're from. So today we're going to be diving into the origins of the vampire across the world, and I'm also going to dive into literature and film influences. There's a lot. There's like so many. So we're going to go through each and every one.
I'm so
Um,
excited. We'll be here for 10 hours.
we're going to be here for a minute. We're going to watch all of them too, pirated. Um,
Yeah. No, don't pirate. It's
we're
bad.
not going to do that. Um, so origins of beliefs. And I got pretty much all of this from Wikipedia. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
So
yeah. I use
this is
Wikipedia
my
heavily.
one shout out to Wikipedia.
Love you.
Pictures also came from there.
Mhm.
Okay. So there's a lot of beliefs as to what can cause vampirism. Some of the most common though, is slow decomposition. So depending on where you live, the temperatures and soil affect how quickly like a body will decompose. So some bodies will decompose really slowly and they'll appear like very intact and whole, and pe that freaks people out a lot because they're like, hey, why aren't they like turning into a skeleton? But then others, and I thought this was really interesting, will bloat like over time. And before like the body fully decomposes, like your nails and your teeth go first. And
Ooh.
so like you basically get like a new, like it's your nail bed, and then like your teeth like start kind of like falling away. And so your body's gonna bloat, and like your teeth and nails look different. And so like your body basically is gonna have this appearance that it's like plump and like has like a lot of color to it. But your teeth are also gonna look like really sharp and disfigured, and your nails are gonna look disfigured. And so people thought like basically they were getting like this vitality
Huh.
to them when they died.
Okay.
And it was just like normal body decomposition.
Yeah.
And I was like, first of all, like, why are they
Why are they
waiting?
checking?
But it's because a lot of things did like burial rituals and stuff. So
Oh,
the
yeah,
body
yeah.
was going through its natural decomp. Um, Premature burial. So this one was terrifying. Before modern mortuary practices, people were sometimes accidentally buried alive. And that's, because they didn't know how to properly check for a pulse, or maybe like they had low blood pressure. Could have been a lot of different things. And so they didn't prep the bodies, they just buried them. And so people would wake up and they were buried 6 feet under, and they would, try to dig their way out. They would yell, they would hit their heads on the coffins. And so when people finally went to investigate, because they're like, hey, there's spirits out here, they would open the coffins, and the corpses at this point would have blood like on their faces and on their hands, and it looked like they had recently fed. And so people thought they were like escaping their coffins and like
Uh-huh.
going and like murdering villagers.
Right, yeah. Ooh.
Which is gross. Um, so another cause of where what people thought caused vampirism, which we now know is just like a medical condition, is porphyria. Um, so this is a disorder that's caused by the buildup of porphyrins, which I didn't know what that was. It's like the hema in your body, like it produces too much. Um, and it causes the skin to burn and blister in direct sunlight. And so
Ow.
sometimes like people who have that have to get like blood transfusions, they have to have like liver replacements, and different stuff, but people associated that with like vampires not being able to go out into the sunlight, which
Mm-hmm.
again, it's like how many people were experiencing this condition for it to be a
Right.
problem,
Because I
but
don't know anyone with this
I
condition.
I've never even heard of it.
Same.
Um, Vampire bats. So bats became associated with vampires, and like an omen that one is near, because they did sometimes like feed off of humans. They would bite them and they'd leave two like bite holes in it. And so people thought it was vampires like coming and feeding on like villagers,
Oh.
when in fact it was just a vampire bat. But that's where the bat lore came from.
Mm-hmm.
And they had such a bad rap. Vampire bats are not like by nature violent creatures.
Yeah,
Um,
they're just hungry.
yeah. And then serial killers. So, there's a lot of serial killers who had calling cards where they would drain their victims of all of their blood, and some of them actually did like consume the blood and like body, like some organs of their victims.
Sure.
And so people just automatically associated that with vampirism. Because normal people don't do that. But I think that's more just like they were trying to like strike fear because they knew like people were scared of those like histories. So
Yeah.
um they're not actually vampires. They did get very sick from that. Um, but there was more than one serial killer
That's
that did that. So
so yucky.
so gross. Um, So I do want to talk about vampires in ancient lore. There's actually no text regarding the word vampire. Typically, when they talk about like blood drinking entities, they did refer to them as like demons or sometimes deities. So some of like the more common lore here, India is one of them. They have the Vitalas, and they're ghoulish beings that inhabit corpses, and they have vampiric qualities, like they drink blood and like eat and consume human flesh. And then they leave like the corpses, and
Hmm.
then attack like other victims. The Persians had the tale of Lilith and her daughters, the Lilu, as well as the Estries, which I think Lilith is like a very common like Hebrew tale. Lilith was in some um like beliefs also in the Garden of Eden, and it was initially the woman who had like tempted Adam. It wasn't Satan, it was Lilith. But she and her daughters, as well as the Estries, who ass lived off, um, um, who lived off of, I don't even know why I put that. I don't even know what I was trying to say.
Subliminal messaging. Ass.
Basically they lived off of the blood of infants, and this is like a reoccurring thing. Like
Hmm.
people were eating babies, and I think that's very
That's messed
interesting
up. That's messed
because
up.
of like recent
Oh,
issues.
yeah. Oh, ooh,
It's
yeah.
like
Bring
an
it full
ongoing
circle.
thing.
Oh God.
Gross.
Yeah.
Um, so in Greco-Roman mythology, you have the Impusa, the Mormo, the Limia, and the Strigas. So the Impusa and the Mormo were kind of the same thing. Basically, they were considered like witches. But they were the daughters of Hecate, who was a witch. And they seduced men and drank their blood, which slay.
Yeah, I support
Yeah,
that.
I love that for them.
Not the
Um,
infants, though. Leave the infants out of it.
but Hecate, since she's a witch, sometimes like between vampires and witches, it gets, a little caught up in the mud there.
Yeah.
And then you had the Lamia and the Strigas, which is funny that they kind of rope those together because Striga in like a lot of other languages means witch.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it's a demon. They feasted on young children. They would break into their homes and eat them.
Boo.
Gross. But the Strigas also ate like human, like regular people, not just babies.
Regular people, adults.
Like, adults. Not the young ones.
Not the little freaks.
Um, so Eastern Europe and Western Europe have two very different like concepts of vampires, which I thought was very interesting. So, Albania is actually like very rich in vampire lore. Like a lot of vampire lore comes from Albania, which kind of makes me want to talk to my old roommate Basar because his family's from Albania, and I want to know if they know more about this.
Yeah.
Um, so they have the Striga, um, which is a vampiric witch that drank the blood from infants and turned into flying insects, often depicted as a disfigured woman who were a shroud, typically because they would shroud their dead and they would, come back from their graves. Um, so the Vrikolakas, which is a Greek legend, that more so it's funny that they depict in yours like the wolves as more
Yeah.
wolfish because in this they are saying like it mimics more of like a modern day zombie.
Uh-huh.
And
I think
they're
it could,
undead.
yeah. Well, actually, I will say on Maverick Werewolf's blog, this
Hmm.
was kind of a whole thing is like it's actually quite a debate of like which is it, a vampire or a werewolf? Like it's a whole thing because it's
Okay,
like it could be either depending on the
gotcha.
legend. So this makes sense to me.
So in the Greek lore, they were undead creatures that ate the livers of their victims. They actually did not drink the blood. They just ate their livers.
It's very
Um,
specific.
And then the Strigoi, which is from Romanian culture, are troubled spirits that have risen from the dead. They have powers of invisibility and they drink the blood of their victims. So the Strigoi are actually what Bram Stoker based Dracula off of.
Oh,
Like he took a lot of similarities from the Romanian culture. And put them into his book. And Strigoi is actually used quite a bit in like literature as well. I feel like that's like a common one, which I wouldn't have thought that, but
yeah. I do feel like I've heard that word, but
yeah, like Vampire Academy used it a lot.
hmm.
I don't know. And then in Western Europe, this is kind of where the term vampire was first coined. And it actually derived from the Albanian word damper, which means to drink from the tooth.
Mm.
Um, but some people also debate that it was like a French word first, so no one really knows where it came from exactly. Um, Western Europe is also where the traditional vampire traits appear. However, they did take a lot from like Eastern European cultures. Um, so I think it was like one of those things where it like as people traveled, like they told stories and then like Western European groups like kind of took that as their own.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
Also in Western Europe, the church played a very large role in the hysteria towards vampires, especially in like coming out of the Middle Ages, because people couldn't really read. Like that was not just like a a thing that was offered to everybody. The church kind of controlled everything, and so basically they were saying like, "Hey, these beings drink blood, and they take that from you, so you need to partake in the blood of Jesus Christ
Hmm.
to protect you from these evil beings."
Interesting. So were
Yeah.
they saying that like if you partake the blood of Christ, like they won't drink your blood because that's like a deterrent to them?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Um, but I mean
Well,
it's
not
kind of
cool.
bullshit, but yeah, but
Not
like
cool, but interesting.
yeah, very interesting. But I mean it's just like the church pl like kind of preyed on a lot of like insecurities and like folklore going on. They're like, don't worry, we got a solution for that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it
Who would
is
have thunk?
crazy. So prevention against vampires is again is very widely debated. So garlic, I think, is a very common one.
Mhm.
Um, Now some people think like just having garlic near you is a deterrent. Others say like you have to have like the vampire directly eat the garlic. If they were to kill a person who they believe to be a vampire, some cultures will put bulbs of garlic just directly into their mouths, and then they'll rebury them with it so they can't rise again.
Okay.
Just depends. Wild rose or hawthorn, if you like have this in your home, it wards off against vampires. Mustard seed, which I had never heard before.
Same.
Not sure what mustard seed does. And then obviously like your basic ones, the crucifix, holy water, the rosary, very like religion-based artifacts. Sunlight was a big deterrent for them. They can't come out during the day. Um, it's also believed that mirrors and consecrated grounds such as churches, temples, or running water can ward off a vampire due to their lack of soul. I'm still not sure about the running water part. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
I haven't heard that before.
I think it like because it can wash away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever. So there are ways to prevent vampires. There are also different ways to kill a Can be
vampire.
different. So you have ash, hawthorn, again, widely
Oak or
debated, also depends
aspen
on your
wood.
beliefs.
Mhm.
So a
These
stake through the
trees grow
heart.
in a lot of different
However, the
areas, so
wood
I think it's more
used,
just
like what you have available type thing. Decapitation is the only other way. So once decapitated, this one was really funny. It was said that you need to take the head and then place it between their feet or behind their buttocks, so that it cannot reattach itself to the neck. And then you either have to rebury them that way, or some people believe that you needed to like burn the body once decapitated.
yeah. The burning the decapitated body is the Twilight lore, I feel
Yes.
like.
Yep. In Vampire Diaries, I think.
Yes, yes, that as well. The interesting one is like burying them with their head, but like putting it between their feet.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you just like bury the head separately? Maybe it would be
Right?
better.
Or just like burn it.
Yeah, just yeah, get rid of it.
So vampires were very popular. They took the world by storm. Everyone was really into them, and as they should be. Me
They're
too.
sexy.
They're
God.
sexy, they're hot. Like people wrote them that way on purpose because like people wanted what they couldn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
So in early literature, there was a lot of poems in the 19th century that mentions vampires, but the first like fictional book that was written and published about vampires was The Vampire by John Polidori in 1819, which he wrote this book and he was a doctor and his patient actually took this story and like tried to publish it under his own name.
Ah,
Um, and it didn't do
crazy.
well. And then John Polidori republished it later along with other works, and it really caught some traction there.
Huh.
Um, Varney the Vampire by James Malcolm Rymer and Thomas Peckett Prest was a series of pamphlets, which were also known as Penny Dreadfuls, which is really funny because Penny Dreadful is um, a story that has come out way later that talks a lot about like creatures like this of myth and lore. So I thought that was really fun. But they wrote these pamphlets from 1845 to 1847. They were known as penny dreadfuls because of their really like low price. They wanted to make it affordable for people to read. And it was about, very dark, twisted beings, so
Yeah.
they're called dreadfuls. Um,
Love that.
and then the sapphic vampire story Carmilla, written by Sheridan Le Fanu in 1871, which Sheridan was ahead of their time,
Yeah. This is
writing a
actually on my
sapphic.
TBR. I
Is
haven't read it,
it?
but yeah, I'm really interested.
Me too, because like people didn't do that.
Yeah, no, that's iconic.
It is
Iconic
iconic.
behavior.
And then of course you have Bram Stoker's Dracula in 1897, which is the most notable for its influence on the vampire genre. There's been about 900 different iterations of Dracula, and it's old. Figure something else out. Quit
Yeah,
redoing Dracula. They
great
just
point.
made
Do
another Dracula
Carmilla.
movie.
Do
Do
Carmilla. You
Carmilla.
won't.
Nobody wants to see the lesbians.
I
It's
do.
trash. I want to see them.
Yeah. Bring us the lesbians.
Okay, so this is where it gets a little long-winded. Modern literature. This is just a few of them. This is certainly not all of them. I think the Twilight series is one of the most popular.
Iconic.
The Blue Blood series by Melissa De La Cruz, which I almost didn't include because she's kind of controversial right now.
Ooh.
Because she wrote a book and it had some content that shouldn't have been in a young adult book.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
so Melissa, I don't want to draw attention to you, girl. Um, but the Blue Blood series is one of my absolute favorite vampire books. It's a lot of these are from like the early 2000s, which I think is when they were really doing
Yeah,
vampires the right way.
they were.
Um, the House of Night series by PC and Kristen Cast. It's a mother-daughter duo that wrote these books, also really, really good.
So cool.
Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. The Black Dagger Brotherhood by J.R. Ward, which I have not started yet because there are a lot of those books. There's so many, but are very popular. Cirque du Freak, which is like the vampire's assistant books. Those are really good too by Darren Shan. The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. Anne Rice was doing something right.
Mother. Have you
Mother?
seen the Netflix adaptation of Interview with the Vampire?
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. It's
Lestat
so good.
is just
Oh,
my
he's
life.
so hot. And
He's
it's
so
like,
crazy.
I can't be into this man. He's horrible,
He's
but
so
I love
toxic.
him.
I
He's
love
so
him.
toxic.
Uh,
God. Anyway,
the Southern Vampire Mysteries, which is also known as the True Blood novels by Charlaine Harris. True Blood is also iconic. Iconic. And then Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I feel like we needed to add that in there. The Hot
mhm.
Vampire Next Door series by Nikki St. Crow.
So good.
Amazing. Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. That's a very interesting, fresh take on vampires. I
Haven't read it
loved
yet.
that series. Very good. She does vampires in a different way, and I loved it.
Oh,
Loved it. The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare. Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Again, one of those ones I didn't really want to include him, but Salem's Lot's a pretty like influential book.
haven't read that one
Um,
either.
it's good. The Vampire Diaries by L.J. Smith. A Discovery. And like so many more. There's like so many. So many.
Yeah, there really are.
Um, I forgot to include one on here, so The Lost Boys should have been on here.
Ah, yeah.
Whatever. A great movie.
Whatever.
Whatever. The Twilight series, obviously. Van Helsing, one of my favorite movies.
So good.
I love you. Blade, all 8,000 remakes of the Draculas. Disgusting. Dark Shadows, Hotel Transylvania, Vampire Academy, Nosferatu. Like, there's so many. The Underworld series. Oh, I did include The Lost Boys. Good for me.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
I did put it on there. Fright Night, which is terrifying. Um,
Oh, I haven't seen
those are
Fright Night.
all. It's spooky. I didn't like it.
The newest Nosferatu actually had me a little bit scared.
Did it?
Yeah.
I heard it kind of fucked though.
It did kind of fuck a little bit. I think it's just like the concept of a man being like that obsessed with you is like kind of hot, but like also it's scary.
But he's also gross.
Yeah, and he's like rotting.
Ooh.
Ew.
Um, and then last but not least, we have some notable TV shows such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Queen, Vampire Diaries, True Blood, Interview with the Vampire, Being Human, Discovery of Witches. As you can see, they took a lot of these books and made them into TV shows.
As they should.
Penny Dreadful, Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm.
Scooby-Doo took a lot from ancient culture and really just threw it in there. And I love that for them.
Yeah.
As well as animes like Castlevania.
Mhm.
So vampires have just taken the world by storm,
As they should. They're
as they
very
should.
iconic. Um, I did want to say, like, something that stuck out to me was like the Striga become flying insects instead of
Yeah.
bats. I thought that was weird. I've never heard of that before.
I think so. And a lot of these, like, they turned into like birds or bees or like anything but
Huh.
bats. Like, I think it was literally just like a vampire bat bit someone, and they probably weren't even called vampire bats. They're
Yeah,
probably called something else. And like, they found out they drink blood, and they're like,
that's a vampire.
you know what? They're turning people into
Huh.
vampires.
Very interesting. Also interesting that they're like every time they're transforming into something, it's something that flies.
Yes.
And I know that some vampires, they don't turn into something that flies, they just can fly or like can
Right.
kind of like float. So interesting that like vampires can fly, I guess is
Yeah.
what I'm saying, is like that's part of their
I think in like
lore.
some iterations of Dracula, yeah, he like turns into a bat.
Yes. Yeah, Dracula
Like,
definitely turns into a bat. Um, there are some though where they just
they can just
like kind of
float.
like or they like dematerialize and just kind of like
Okay.
yeah, but they're like always like flying,
Yeah.
which is
Oh,
just like interesting to me. Um, also, I just think like whenever if we're like kind of comparing and contrasting the history
yeah.
of werewolves versus vampires, it's interesting how the werewolves one kind of seems to have stemmed from like those legends kind of seem to have stemmed from an actual like physical threat of like werewolves
Hmm.
existing, whereas the vampire one seems to just be like kind of maybe originated from people's like sort of religious
Yeah.
fears and kind of fears of more like the soul not being saved, right? Or
No,
like,
definitely.
being attacked by like demons and malevolent spirits. It kind of seems like it materialized from more mental
Hmm.
fears rather than like an actual physical threat where like the wolves were attacking
Yeah,
villages and
it's like
stuff.
there weren't any vampires. It was probably just some dude going around killing people, or like people were
True.
dying from like random causes, and they're like, "Oh my God, they died because we like they were attacked by some being or
Some
whatever."
evil,
Like,
malevolent
yeah.
vampire.
Or it's like we
Yeah.
didn't bury them correctly and now they're gonna haunt us.
Yeah. And I think what really is just like the takeaway message from both of these mini-sodes about werewolves and vampires is like what used to be what used to be like so scary to people and then like became like a crux of the
Yeah.
horror genre has kind of been taken by women and turned sexified. And I just think that's
And we're just
hilarious.
disgusting and I love that for us. Like
I love that for us. I love that women are like, I'm attracted to anything
like you know
except for
what's
a human
hot?
man. We're
This
like
man that
anything.
can drain me of my blood.
Literally, women want the most like debased, horrifying,
Yeah.
horrible creature that loves and cherishes her and her specifically, but will destroy the world and
But it's
everyone
like, don't we
else.
all want that? And like
Yeah.
we're all flawed.
Yeah.
We can't be perfect.
We're human. God, I mean, can
Who
you
doesn't
blame a
want a
girl
human?
yeah, or a human who doesn't want some freaking human man? Because guess what? They're kind of mediocre. Just
Not
kidding.
mine. I love my
I
husband,
I
but
love my husband so much. My husband is different. obviously.
He's a vampire.
Yeah, my husband's a vampire, and yours is a werewolf.
No, I wouldn't
Um,
mind to be a vampire.
Actually, they probably
Yeah, I would say if we're being
if
so
we're being so
honest,
for
though,
real,
Cole is a
Cole
werewolf.
is a werewolf and Alex is a vampire, actually.
Cole probably has that condition maybe a little bit where they just have so much hair.
What
Like
was that
he
called
would have,
again? Hypertrichosis.
yeah, like he would have lived in the 1800s and they'd been like, that
That
dude
dude is a
might be
werewolf.
a werewolf.
Yeah, but they would also think that Alex is a vampire. I'm just sure of it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, join us for our next book discussion on April 27th, where we discuss Quicksilver by Kelly Hart. I have
We're
not yet read it.
flying through
I'm
these.
so excited. I've like, listen, this has been a very good reading year, I think, so far on the
Yeah.
podcast of like things that are just like I don't even know how to explain it, but like they're really current. I feel like we're doing very current books. I feel like we're
We
doing
are
very
doing a lot of
like
current books.
popular books that everyone loves, and they're things that I haven't read yet, and now I'm crossing off of my list. So I
Well,
love that for me.
also, I feel like we need to do a really quick shout out too, because there's some good books that are going to be coming out. And Sarah J. Maas, my queen, has
Yes.
finally given us a date for ACOTAR 6, and we'll probably talk more about it, but
Yes, we should probably just like dedicate a mini-sode to this entirely because as you know, like we
maybe
have
just
been
bust out some
waiting
more
for these for a long
theories.
time. Yeah, okay, yes, let's do that because this deserves like a full discussion. But yes,
Yeah.
if you haven't heard already, she discussed or released the date for ACOTAR 6 and 7 and
And
a novella.
7. Yeah,
It
she
a
didn't
novella as
announce a
well,
date for novella
but
though,
said there's one in the
but there
works.
is going to be one, yeah.
Okay, so yes, we will dedicate like some time to actually talk through that and then
Yeah.
refresh everyone on like the current theories and what's going on. Yeah, so excited to talk more about that. And then on May 4th, listen, if you all haven't heard of the Apothecary Diaries, first of all, it's a manga
It's
and
stunning.
anime. It's stunning. It's stunning. And I think if you're a fan of this podcast, you will be a fan of the Apothecary Diaries. So, what we are doing on May 4th is a mini-sode. And we are going to each find a few like fan fictions that we're interested in and then kind of like talk about them and like what they are and recommend them to each other. Yeah, so
That's what we've got in the tank here. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up. So excited for the Apothecary Diaries, very excited for Quicksilver. We will eventually be doing Brimstone as well. So if you start on Quicksilver, you may as well start on Brimstone.
yes, definitely get a head start on those because I think
They're kind of long.
they're a little hefty. So go ahead and get started on both Quicksilver and then Brimstone if you haven't already. We'll talk to you next time, and as always.
Let's get lit.